Here we are again with great pleasure to talk about CVPH Medical Center and something new. There's always something new under the sun, and I'm not necessarily referring to Chris Blake. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, but we're delighted to be here because this is something new that we've watched being built.
Yes.
And we're delighted to have it opening today. Tell me about it.
We are at the open house for the CVPH Wound Care Center, which is located at the CVPH Health Plaza. And one of the real benefits of having this program at the plaza is convenient parking, easy access, and for folks who have these chronic wounds, obviously mobility is sometimes an issue, so this is an easy way, an easy place to get in and out of. So that's real important when we plan.
There's been a need for this for a long time, hasn't there?
Well, there has been, and we've had a program per se within the medical center, and we've had specialists, but this is a more concerted effort. We've partnered with a nationally known company called Healogics, and they've trained our staff and given them direction and some best practices to follow. And so what's happened now is that there's a concerted effort. There's nurses that specialize in this, and that's all they do all day. And we're overseen by our medical director, Craig Notbauer, who's a vascular surgeon. So we've come together, and we're going to be treating folks who dearly need it.
There's special rooms and special equipment here.
Special, yes.
It's not, actually we're doing this on the 29th of April 2013, and it's not scheduled to open to the public until the 1st of May.
Right.
And so we're doing this open house today so we can get a preview.
A sneak peek. Maybe we'll get you in one of the hyperbaric chambers.
Yeah, sure we will. I might need a little oxygen by the time we get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here on a decent day. It's a little bit breezy, but no rain as was forecast, and temperatures in the low 60s. And we're delighted to find out what's going on the inside.
Well, come on, we'll give you a tour.
Thanks, Chris. Let's do it. And we're inside number 85. Dana Welch, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Well known to Calvin Castine as the star basketball, soccer, softball.
Time has gone on.
Isn't it truly amazing? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Are you going to be stationed here on a regular basis?
I am. There will be 3 nurses. We have 2 full-times and a per diem nurse, and then we also have our hyperbaric technician who's full-time as well, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. And no weekends, no holidays.
We're going to take a little tour today. Of course, I fortunately have not had the opportunity or the necessity of being in a wound care center, so I have no idea what's in here. This will all be brand new for me.
It is. It's a whole brand new facility, state-of-the-art equipment. We have 4 treatment rooms that are brand new. We have a hyperbaric chamber room that has 2 hyperbaric chambers, beautiful machines, ready to run.
You're ready to try it today? Yeah.
I don't know about me. But no, they're wonderful machines, very safe, very, very well monitored machines.
You know, you don't learn about things very often unless you either are Calvin Castine with a camera on the shoulder or me, or have to have use of a place like this. But it's awfully comforting to know this will be a place in the community that everybody can use when they need it.
It is, and we're really hoping that this is a tremendous resource for community members that do require this. And as time has gone on, we've realized that we've come across people, everyone has their own personal story and experience with wounds. So there is a huge need in this community. Diabetics, anyone with venous stasis ulcers on their lower extremities, any surgical wounds that aren't really healing. There's a lot of people that will meet criteria to come here, and a very select group that will meet hyperbaric chamber requirements, and will be candidates for that as well.
We're going to learn later when we see it, I'm sure, but the hyperbaric chambers are really great for healing, aren't they?
They are. Essentially, they're healing the wound from the inside out, and it's a tremendous piece of equipment. They speed up the healing rate, and they're just really beneficial for chronic reoccurring wounds that meet criteria for hyperbarics.
How long have you been a nurse?
I have been a nurse for 5 whole years now.
Is that possible?
Time flies when you're having so much fun.
Well, how did you... Did somebody say, I guess we're going to need you up there, or did you volunteer?
I put in for this job
Did
with
you really?
both fingers crossed for it. I've been working in the hospital for 5 years, and about a year ago, I was introduced to our inpatient wound ostomy nurse, and I started helping out in that department, and I really found a huge passion for wound care. And it's really one of the only areas in nursing that you can see a patient fully heal from start to finish, you know, because typically in-house, you're seeing patients, you get them well enough to go home, and you don't really know what happens afterwards. But here, and in wound care, you really get to see a start to finish healing process,
You know,
which is amazing.
You used another one of my favorite words, and that is passion. How old were you when you decided you had this passion for nursing?
When it came that time to make that decision as a senior in high school, I loved helping people. I loved working with others. And, I thought this was a great way to, it's a very gratifying job, and you get to give back. And that's basically what I really was attracted to with nursing.
So you're glad to be here.
I'm very glad to be here. Very
Calvin's
glad to be here. We've got a great staff. Love my coworkers, so it's a great experience
Well,
to
it's
start.
nice to be here before the actual opening on the 1st, when you'll be going nutsy cuckoo for a couple of days.
We've been so excited. We're like, we can't wait to get patients, and now it's like, oh my God, we're getting patients. So we're just looking forward to it.
The only real panic she had was knowing that hometown cable was going to be here in 20 minutes.
20, that's being generous.
It's not hard.
No.
It's just easy for us to go and learn things, and you're going to teach us a lot today.
Yes,
What's the first
absolutely.
thing we're going to go see?
We are going to, do you want to look at the treatment rooms first, or do you want to do hyperbarics?
Calvin says, wherever
Go
you
with
take us,
the flow, right?
we'll follow you, okay?
Nursing's all about going with the flow.
You got it.
So we can take a look. We have 4 treatment rooms. We can take a look at one of them if you want. They're pretty much all set up the same.
We're delighted, and we'll do it.
Okay, perfect.
Since our cameras have never been in this kind of a wound center before, Dana, first of all, where are we?
We are at the CVPH Plaza up by Hannaford. And this is our brand new office here, and we are in one of our brand new treatment rooms, one of 4. And this is one of our specialty rooms. We all have these brand new chairs in each room. This one's just a little bit wider, so it's a little more comfortable.
I could take a nice. I need
it's
airline
cozy.
seats just that wide.
It's cozy. It fully
yeah.
reclines, lies flat. This part, the bottom part pulls out, so if
Oh,
you have you're a little taller.
It's
Very
beautiful.
cozy.
It's beautiful. So this is one of the treatment rooms.
Yes. Yep.
Why is it necessary for some people to come to this wound care center?
Anyone that has a chronic wound, and I mean chronic by it just reoccurs, it'll heal and then it'll constantly come back. Your diabetic foot ulcers, those are our main patients. I think we'll see a huge amount of those type of patients here. Improper footwear, you step on something and they lose sensation in their lower extremities a lot of the time. So you'll get a wound that starts to heal or that starts to occur on the ball of your foot, that kind of thing. So those type of patients will come here, we'll treat that, we'll use different techniques to help heal those wounds. We have gold standards, which they refer to for diabetic foot ulcers. You'll also see patients with lower extremity ulcerations kind of around the ankle area. Those we call venous stasis ulcers. Those, they kind of drain. Patients that have a lot of edema in the lower extremities, that's the only way for the fluid to come out. So it blisters and then it opens and the fluid kind of keeps draining. So with advanced wound care treatment, we can help heal those. We've heard several stories about patients that they're hindered by their wounds that they have, and they don't want to go out in public. They feel like they can't go shopping, or they don't want to go out to a restaurant because their wounds are draining, or just different things. People are self-conscious about them, and so what we're hoping to get those patients in, get them treated, healed, and just give them a better quality of life.
I'm so glad we came here today for many reasons. First of all, we followed the progress of CVPH since the very beginning. Every time they open a new campus or part of a campus somewhere or a new facility like this, Calvin and I love to be there with Hometown Cable just to show what a magnificent resource
Yeah.
CVPH Medical Center is in the community. And as you spoke, since you speak so eloquently, Dana, I was thinking how fortunate I am to be able to heal quickly, you know. But there are people who don't.
Yes.
And that's why our audience needs to know that there is this wound care center here, because some people just can't get those wounds healed for one reason or another.
Exactly. And, you know, and this is a huge learning process for everyone involved. We've actually, working in the hospital, we are, you know, shown several different types of wounds. And one of the big ones that hit, you know, it was kind of a wake-up call to say we don't know everything there is, every type of wound. Tristina and myself, osteoradionecrosis. It occurs to patients that have undergone radiation, and then, you know, years later, you develop this, like the tissue starts to kind of eat away, especially around your jaw.
Oh, yeah.
Huge kind of, you know, it's patients that undergo radiation are sick patients, and when they, you know, come through and beat that cancer, and then they develop this osteoradionecrosis. It's very disappointing for the patient, but there are treatments out there for that, and that's where our hyperbaric chambers come into play for that. So, you know, it's just, you never know when a wound is going to occur, and they reoccur, they happen, and we just hope that this turns out to be a huge resource for people.
Now, over your last 5 years as an RN, have you worked a lot with patients that require wound care?
Yes, there's always patients in an assignment, you know, in-house that have some type of wound care. Your amputees sometimes.
As we've learned from the Boston event of a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. Amputees. Patients that are, you know, they've had an amputation and they have a flap that's covering the amputation site. If those aren't healing or taking, we'll see those patients and treat them. There's just so many type of wounds out there. Pressure ulcers, you see a lot with patients that are bedridden or wheelchair bound. Not only will you get them on the sacral area, you know, the buttocks area, you can also get them on the heels. Anywhere that's a pressure area, really. You know, the elbows, we've seen it on like your shoulder blades, things like that. So that's one of the type of wounds we've seen quite commonly in-house. But really, just so many types of wounds out there that we can treat.
And people will be coming here in almost every age group, from very young people to aging senior citizens who come here from nursing homes. And are they all referred by their own physicians?
We do, most of them will be referred from their primary care physician. We will also see self-referrals.
Oh, really?
Yep. And in that case, they'll come in, and then their official, you know, referral visit will be their first visit. But most of the time, they will come as a referral from the doctor's offices. And then we'll take them and heal them quite quickly.
Of course, and with that smile, you can heal anybody. Dana, we're going to move along. Thank you for greeting us here. We trapped you in this room.
It's all right. It's so cozy. I don't mind being in here.
We're going to pick your brain all day long. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Christina Haley.
Yes,
Who named you?
my mother.
I'm so happy, because fathers come up with oddball names sometimes. And Tristina is a little bit different.
It
How many
is.
other Tristinas do you know?
Not a single one.
No kidding.
Not a single
I
one.
told you when you were born they broke the mold.
They did. They
You
did.
are unique for sure.
Thank you.
And you have a wonderful, healthy laugh, too. I like that.
That's what everybody
I
says.
said, we're coming with the microphone. That's all right. I've done so many. I've been on television for years.
Not really, but that's what I just thought it would make myself feel better.
This is a happy place today, but it's not always going to be happy.
Not always going to be happy, but it's going to be a healing place. That's the important part.
That's the name of the game.
Yep. So patients come in and maybe they're unhappy because they've had wounds for such a long period of time and they're not healing. But our job as nurses and the medical staff here will be to heal our patients.
So as the lead nurse, as the lead nurse, will you oversee the other gals who work here?
Yep, I oversee the clinical portion of it, and then we have Penny Pitts. She's our program director. She's the big boss, but I oversee the clinical portion of it, and we do a lot of reporting to ensure that all of our patients are healing quickly and accurately. We use different programs to make sure they're on the right track.
There's a lot of directions you can go when you become an RN.
Yes.
How did you happen to go in this one?
How did I get in this direction? To be honest, it kind of fell in front of me.
Isn't that funny how that happened?
It is. I used to work as a cardiac nurse for the last 5 years. Yep. And I started working with the wound nurse at the hospital, and she had told me about the program. I got interested in it. I started to learn a little bit more about it, and I thought, this is for me. So I applied for the position, and I got it.
It's with all the hard work in setting up a place like this,
Yes.
It's got to be kind of exciting to see it almost within a few days of opening.
I think there's a lot of pride that goes along with it.
It has to be.
Yeah, because, you have done everything from, get patients in here to get taken care of, to ordering toilet paper. You name it, you've done it when you're setting it up, so.
People, I was just thinking as you spoke, people who are in the construction business can look at a house they built and say, see what I did.
Yeah.
It's different when you're an RN.
It is different when you're an RN, because normally programs are already set up. You're working at the hospital that's been there for years and years and years, and has been successful. But this is us. This is the nurses who are here. You met Dana earlier, and our hyperbaric tech Stacy, and another nurse Frankie, and our boss Penny. It's us. It's the five of us putting this together, and our office coordinator Laura too.
We've talked about what this room is, but I'd like to have you explain the equipment and what happens in here.
Absolutely. So this is the hyperbaric oxygen therapy room. These are hyperbaric oxygen tanks, and what we do is we put patients in here, sick patients who aren't healing with conventional wound care, patients who have osteo infection in their bones, basically, people who have had an amputation on their leg and it's not healing appropriately, or people who are going to have an amputation and we want to make sure they have lots of good oxygen-rich tissue there when they do the surgery. So what we do is we put the patient on the stretcher, slide them into this tank here. We use 100% oxygen to pressurize it, and what happens when you're in there under 100% oxygen, that's pressure, is the oxygen leaks out of your blood vessels and into your tissue, causing your wound to heal from the inside out. So you have to think about it. Everything else that we do for wound care, if you have a wound on your arm, we're looking at that wound and we're taking care of it from the outside. What we're doing when we use this treatment is we're forcing oxygen into that wound from the inside of your body.
So this technology's been around for a while.
1950s, I believe.
Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't originally used for wound care, though. You have to remember that chambers like this were originally used for divers who had the bends. And
yes.
So then eventually they came up with the idea to pressurize with 100% oxygen, and with doing that you could decrease the healing time for wounds. So patients have wounds for shorter periods of times.
How big a difference does it make in healing the wound in terms of time?
Well,
is there any standard? Or
we like conventional treatment, when someone's in the clinic seeing the nursing staff, they should heal within 14 weeks. When they come in here and they do the treatments in the chamber, it should be 6 weeks. So there's significant difference. However, you have to have certain wounds, you have to have certain conditions to qualify to go into the chamber. Not everybody can go in. So, and there's lots of testing and safety precautions that go along with it. We estimate only 10 to 15% of our patients at the clinic will even go into the chamber.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a small percentage. Everybody else will be taken care of with conventional wound care.
So there's testing that would go on before they ever
Yep. You have
were
to have
considered.
like a chest X-ray. There's certain things we have to do. We test we call them vascular studies. So we're testing to see how the veins and arteries in your legs are working. Are they working appropriately? If we do give you that super load of oxygen, are your veins and arteries going to bring that blood to those areas? So if you don't have great veins and arteries, or you can't get the blood down there, then you're wasting your time doing this. So you have to make sure other stuff works first.
How often would they go into this?
5 days a week,
5 days a week?
2
No
hours a
kidding.
day for 6 weeks. So it's a huge commitment. However,
So is dialysis, though.
so is dialysis, but you have to think about the alternative.
Yeah.
These patients are probably going to lose a limb if we don't do something drastic or something like using hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So that's why they're here. That's why they're going into the chamber, because the alternative is they lose their leg, they lose their toes, part of their foot.
We've seen it so many times
So
in the
many
past.
times,
What's
yep.
this piece of equipment?
Same
That's it?
thing.
Okay.
Same exact thing. They're both exactly the same. They both use 100% oxygen to create pressure. We can take care of 2 patients simultaneously at the same time. Right now, we can have 4 patients at a time. So 4 hyperbaric oxygen therapy patients at
Really?
a time. That's it. Yep. So we have doctors here at the clinic 4 hours a day, and they have to be here in the clinic when we're running these. You can't run these without a doctor being here. So we'll run it for half-day clinic for right now, and 6 months down the road, we'll have all-day clinics, and we'll do 8 patients a day.
Did these machines come from CVPH? Were they there?
No.
These are brand new ones?
They're brand new. They're from Seacrest, but we're working with a company called Healogics.
Yes.
Yep, Healogics. It's a nationwide company. They oversee like 580 wound clinics in the whole United States, and they're
Wow.
actually branching out. They've got some in Puerto Rico, and they're talking about going overseas. And their main goal is wound healing, and they use hyperbaric oxygen therapy to do it. So we've consulted with them. They've helped us in ordering, purchasing, creating these machines, and they've done all of our training on it.
Have you done any trial runs up here on these new machines?
Not with patients in them, but yes, we have. We've used mock patients. We had to go through a lot of
You
training.
did, yeah.
a lot of training. So we all went down to Jacksonville, Florida to do some training down there for a week, 11 hours a day for 5 days. We did training down there, and then we had our regional safety director come up here, and she spent 3 days with us just working on the chambers. So we did that with her. We all got to run the chamber with our pretend patient in there. Took them down to their, because the pressure, the idea with the pressure is just like going into seawater. Right, because when you dive down,
yeah.
it creates pressure. So that's what they're doing, but they're using oxygen. So we dive you down to about 33 feet of seawater. That's the same amount of pressure that we're giving you when you're in the
Is it
chamber.
really?
Yep.
So there's a little getting used to it when they go in. It takes a while to fire up the machine.
It takes a little bit of time, and the first time you go in, we go nice and slow because we don't. The two biggest complaints, people have trouble popping their ears,
sure.
like when you're in an airplane,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And the other biggest thing is people who are afraid of small spaces, who have claustrophobia. Even though it's clear and see-through, it can still can cause some anxiety for people. So those are the 2 biggest complaints. So we go nice and slow the first couple of times to make sure they can tolerate it. We do a lot of education with them on how to clear their ears, and also provide them with things that they need if they are anxious to stay comfortable the entire time.
Somebody had told me about all that stuff in the diving days. 33 feet, and my ears would be so painful.
So, well, the thing is, too, like I said, we go really, really, really slow. We can take 15 minutes to a half an hour to get to that depth, that
And
amount
on the
of
other
pressure.
end, it takes time to get back to air pressure, regular air
Yep,
pressure.
yep,
right?
and the same on the way back, we just go slow. We bring you up slow.
So each treatment would take about how long?
2 hours.
2 hours,
Yeah.
5 times a week.
That's a big commitment, yeah.
Like you said, a big commitment, but look at the difference it can make.
It can make a huge difference. You can keep your limb, be able to walk. Yep.
You know, and I'm thrilled that people like you decide to become nurses.
Oh, thank you.
Because it makes a difference.
It does.
And I said today, and at the end of the day, you go home and say, I think we did something good today.
We did. We did something great. We've done something great, and it's going to get even better.
I love it. Thanks so much. You're
welcome.
terrific.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. So.
Well, every operation has to have a boss.
Oh, yes.
And we found Penny Pitts. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I'm delighted to be here. In the last 15 minutes, I've learned more than I've learned in most of my lifetime. This is a pretty neat place.
It is. I am so pleased with how it turned out. A lot of thought and effort went into constructing this center, and it's beautiful.
You know, as director of this operation, it's obvious that you've had a lot of experience Tell us about your background.
Well, my background essentially came from perioperative services, which has served me well, working in recovery room and in the pre-op area. And I was fortunate enough to be involved in the surgical construction project of the new OR several years ago. So that background lended itself very well in constructing this from the bottom up.
Now, were you recruited to come up here, or was it once again, did you kind of hope that you might?
Well, there was an opportunity that came available,
Opportunities. Life is full of those.
It is. Things happen for a
Sometimes the doors
reason.
open and we slam them, and sometimes we jump on through. So that's what
Exactly.
happened, huh?
Yes, it's been a wonderful opportunity. I have learned so much because wound care is a whole different entity. It's
really
changed
is.
a lot since when I went to school and learned, the dressing treatments when I worked in a nursing home. The treatments that we used back then it's totally different now.
You know, when I look at those machines and when I talk to people like you and the other gals we've talked to since we came in here, I realize that this is almost a place where miracles can happen.
Yes, and we are going to be able to change people's lives, and that's the team here is just so energized on making this the best thing for our community because there is such a need. Until I came into this position, I did not realize the scope and level of wounds that are out there, and people are living with these every day. So we have an opportunity to help patients heal and be able to live normal lives.
How much input did you have into how this place was constructed?
A lot.
Tell me, you were in from the beginning.
Yeah, we would meet weekly with construction meeting with the contractors that were involved in the unit or in the construction of it. And basically we were able to pick out our furniture, pick out the equipment. We had a template provided by Healogics because we are in a consulting agreement with Healogics, which is a healing company that has over 500 of these wound clinics throughout the nation. So we're lucky in partnering with them. And so they provided, okay, this is what you need to operate in your clinic. And basically, we just built it from the ground up.
You know, I was not familiar with the word Healogics until I found out that this place was going to open and I was going to be here. And I like the name. I have no idea where it came from, but it's Healgics.
Yes.
Isn't
No
that
pun
neat?
intended.
No, yeah, oh yes, there was a pun intended, I think. So when did you first hear about Healogics?
I heard about Healogics when they started talking about developing the wound center. So I had to do some research on my own about what it was all about. And essentially, Healogics came about with the merging of two companies, one called Diversified and the other National Healing. So they joined forces and became Healogics. So right now they're initially based in the United States, but they are now venturing out internationally and developing wound centers.
So you're happy to be here.
I am very happy to
Have
be
you
here.
done all your nursing here at CVPH?
All but 1 year of it. So I've been here 20 years.
You didn't have to say that. I pried it out of her since you look like a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go to school here?
Ellenburg, good old Northern Adirondack.
And for your nursing?
I went to Canton. Back then it was ATC. It wasn't a 4-year
Believe
college.
me, I know all about Canton too. I applied there before your grandparents were born, so you know. So you're thrilled to be here.
I am.
Your progress has gone well.
Oh, it
I know
has.
there are always.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there have been moments that we're having chest pain because something hasn't,
Oh, yeah.
gone through. But, I mean, it's nothing that we can't get done.
How big a staff?
We have our hyperbaric tech, which I believe you met Stacy.
Yes.
And we have 3 nurses currently.
And you'll be operating 5 days a week?
Yes, 5 days a week, 8 to 4. And if things go as we plan, which will be a positive problem, we're going to need more staff.
That's always a good thing, I
Yes,
think.
it is. It is.
Obviously, there is a need in the community. Those of us who are relatively healthy don't even know a place like this exists until they turn on their television or turn on the internet and see Calvin and Hometown Cable and the fat guy talking about things, but it's reassuring for those of us who are healthy.
Yes.
To know that our relatives and our friends and perhaps ourselves someday will have an opportunity to take advantage of a place like this. So you're delighted to be here. I know you do. Do you live nearby?
Yes, well, I live in Ellenburg.
Oh, well, you're just a little run up that turnpike
Just a
every
little
morning.
bit. Just a little.
That's great. You know what? It's wonderful to talk to you.
I'm so pleased
I'm
that
just so
you
thrilled
joined
with
us.
your staff so far.
Oh, yes. What a great team.
Oh, my goodness.
We just can't wait to open. You know, we've been through the preparation. It's like, okay, we're ready to open and let's go.
I love it. I love your enthusiasm and your passion. There's that word again. Penny, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Well, on a wind-swept day with no moisture in the air yet, toward the end of April 2013, we want to thank those people whom you've met through the eyes of Calvin's camera today at this wonderful new CVPH Wound Center here in the Plaza, CVPH Plaza across, I still call it the Hannaford's Plaza because it's right across from Hannaford's in the west end of Plattsburgh. Thanks to all the people who greeted us here and explained what they're all about today. Like Calvin, I hope that you never have an opportunity to come here because you need to. But if you'd like to find out more about it, please contact the CVPH Medical Center, Penny, or any of the staff here at the Wound Center, or just stop in and see what it's all about. Again, I thank you to CVPH for allowing us to follow the progress they've made in our North Country as a wonderful regional medical center for so many years. It pleases us to be a part of the entire operation. It also pleases us when you make comments or suggestions, and it pleases Calvin and I don't know which one more, but if you take out that checkbook and write out a nice check to Calvin in care of Hometown Cable, Ridge Road, Champlain, New York, it will allow us to do more of these programs far into the future. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.